condition of your flocks, give careful attention to your herds. These words of wisdom from Proverbs are the basis for our discussion today about preparation, about knowing the condition of our resources that have been entrusted to our care. So let's join the conversation about how budgeting can actually be a life-giving process.
One of the things that we can do with folks that are working with us and wherever we engage them on this continuum is that, and what I've told people is, I'll make you uncomfortable once a year, and then you can walk away knowing we've dealt with this and you've addressed it and you know where you are and you know that you're being careful, you're being attentive. And I will help you do that, and we'll focus on that, we'll get it done, and then you can step away from it, and then on a regular basis, we'll do it again. And the other thing is people feel bad about it. It's like, well, I don't want to address this because it makes me feel bad, because Kirk's going to judge me. I'm not a good steward because I don't really feel like messing around with this budget because it's boring and I don't want to do it. And we acknowledge that, yeah, that's how most people feel. And it's okay to feel that way, but you are doing good by engaging us to help you focus on this for this brief period of time. We'll make it painful for a little bit, and then you can go away with a good, a checkup, check the box, you're good. And then we can address it on a regular basis. And that, my experience has been that this helpful to people. Number one, it's giving them permission. It's okay that, this is normal that you feel that way. And number two, the important thing is that you're taking some action and you've found someone to help you take that action, help you be accountable, as Scott said earlier.
One of the values of a budget is to be able to create margins in our lives. So we realize, hey, if I take a lunch instead of eating out lunch, here now I've created so much margin through the savings, and now I can talk to Kirk, because he can help me with the next step of doing something like that. So those are just some thoughts that go along with what Kirk's saying.
I would add one other thought is that with our clients, we have clients that are very detail oriented. Like they know where every penny goes, right? And as Tim mentioned earlier, we also have clients that, I think your diet analogy is a great analogy, Tim, is, we have clients that say, hey, I'm going to make sure I give this to my church and ministries. I'm going to save this amount for my retirement or whatever goal they're trying to save for it, kid, child's education, whatever. And then the rest of it I'm going to live on, but I'll make sure I not go into debt. And that works for them. And quite honestly, we just help people understand where their priorities are and try to fund them or achieve whatever goal they have. And I would say, I feel like a lot of people don't engage because they feel like we are going to judge their decisions. We don't judge any decisions. Because I have a saying I like to use. It's like when you judge, you lose the right to journey. And we really would prefer to be on a journey with our clients and help them through this process of understanding and being aware, at least, of what their decisions they're making and what the impact of those decisions are. So we just want a journey. We can work with people who have lots of personalities. I'm not the zero, I know where every penny goes always kind of guy. And so I can resonate with people who are not like that, but yeah, I can still accomplish my priorities and fund them accordingly. And so, I just would say that, judging isn't our job. We're here to help people journey on this path and help them understand, because there is freedom that comes from understanding at least where your resources are going and how they're funding your priorities. Like I mentioned in the other video, nothing happens by chance. Nothing good usually happens by chance. It is intention and it is effort, but there is a reward and there's a peace of mind that comes from understanding your situation and how your decisions will impact your future. So that's why budgeting is important.
When we start the discussion on what do you feel God is calling you to do, we have that discussion, and then we kind of work backwards, and the budget sort of naturally falls out of that, because once we've identified what the calling is and how finances relate to that, then okay, well, how does your income fit with that, and how does your debt fit with that, and how does your monthly expenses fit with that, and then the budget just sort of naturally appears. And, many times the people we're working with, it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, they are understanding. When you understand that you need to know that information for your calling to come to fruition, it makes it easier, because it's not a chore. It's like, I need to know this information for this to work. So yeah, I'm going to take 10 minutes and figure out my income and expenses.
Like we talked about in that first step. So it's this honest conversation with, myself and God and those around me, and being willing to say, "Ooh, that's not where I say it is." So making the adjustments, and then in relationship with someone else that's coming alongside as a professional, to say, "Okay, well, this is what we said we were going to do. Here's what we really did." Sort of like, what do you want to do about it now? Right? Here's where we really are. Let's talk honest, which I think it's important for people to understand. It isn't a judgment. It's a relationship of, there's no judging going on here. It's just, here's the realities. Now, what do we do about it? Here's some thoughts.
Jesus said he came to give us life, and life to the full. And so many times we separate certain everyday activities from the world, from like our spiritual life. And we over spiritualize that, and we don't think that abundant life is, we have Jesus, and that's the source of our abundant life, but I'm having these financial troubles, or I'm not good at the details. How can you help people find abundant life? And maybe just, tell us a story of someone that you've, a generic story, of course, someone who's found abundant life through using these tools, like getting their essential documents together and getting a budget moving. I mean, a testimonial, how have people found that their life is actually more full?
And I guess for me, Brett, another word for that is peace. A couple that was referred to us by their daughter, and they were, mom and dad were just at that point in their lives where they're starting to have some health issues. Dad is just completely stressed out about what does it mean if my wife I have to spend more money for my wife's care, which is something they were facing. So they had 4 checks a month coming in the door, and Dad was looking at their IRAs that they had accumulated, and he was doing the math. He was saying, I've got this much money in this IRA account, and if I divide that by the monthly expense of the assisted living facility that I'm going to have to send my wife to, I'm out of money in a short period. Through our discussion, I was asking him, of these 4 checks that you receive every month, how much of that do you spend for, how much is in your budget? How much of that are you spending each month? He said, well, we spend a little bit of my pension and we save everything else. And then I asked him, well, how much is that? And he told me the number. And I said, so that number is actually more than what the assisted living cost. Is that right? And he's like, oh yeah, I hadn't thought of that. Mm-hmm. So when we helped him see all the assets he had at his disposal, and I see this frequently, people don't appreciate the value of their Social Security check and their pension check. They don't think of it as a lump sum. They're just looking at this, my savings or my IRA or whatever. And he literally wept when we went through that. He cried.
I've seen similar situations, and I think, Kirk, you helped me one time on a calculation for a lady where she really felt like God was calling her to accomplish something, but she was trying to figure out how in the world she'd ever do it. And so it really related to some money that she felt like needed to get to ministry, and God was tapping her on the shoulder to say, you're the one that needs to do this. And so, Kirk, you ran the calculation. We went back to her, and I think it was almost 120. She could make the gift. She could, in essence, out of what God had blessed her with, she could bless the ministry and still live to be almost 120 years old and have enough.
Right.
And so the ability to come and share that with her and bring that to her, that calculation, and say, you know, do you think this will be enough? And she's like, absolutely. You know, why was I even worried about this kind of thing? You know, but that's kind of where we get paralyzed. Maybe we focus in on a particular area, but don't think about the abundance of which God has blessed us in different ways.
I think one great possibility to talk about is not walking up to or making the phone call or sending the email to FMF to go, I need to do a budget, but to say, I have this dream of being able to give out of my income to a specific thing. Like, you know, I mean, we're never going to run out of children with ICCM that need sponsorships. We're never going to run out of missionaries who need gifts. We should have positive dreams looking forward about what could be accomplished in the Free Methodist Church. In fact, right now, the Free Methodist Church is watching the launching of the Center for Pastoral Formation because people can give, because they set aside that margin and something small became large. And now there's an endowment that can actually support an entire arm of the church that will help bring new life and a new season and new organization to our ministerial credentialing. So wouldn't it be great to invite people into your office to say, bring your dreams, and oh, by the way, we'll talk about a budget along the way and help you find room to accomplish that dream. Thank you for joining us for this conversation about budgeting with FMF Financial Services. Luke 6:38 reminds us that budgeting gives us the means to give and give generously. For all of the Stewardship Well Done journey, visit fmffinancial.org/stewardship.